You're listening to Awaz FM. You're listening to Aajkal with Manjulika. And you know, our guest has arrived. We're so delighted to have Val Bissland here and this lovely, beautiful day. How are you? How are you today?
I am very well, especially when the sun is shining. In Glasgow, it looks glorious.
Exactly, and everybody's happy and cheery. That makes a good subject today. Why we actually want to be happy, isn't it? All of us.
Yes, we wish everybody, when a new baby's born or people get married, we wish them happiness.
That's true. When we write the cards for retirement, for their new job, for your babies, as you say, that's very, very true.
Yeah, so I think that in every culture in the world,
it's
people
universal.
want their children to be happy, and their partners and their grandparents retiring and so on.
Yes.
Everybody wants happiness, but it is elusive sometimes.
Before we go further of our main topic, which is today is happiness and well-being, we are going to talk a little bit about Val, why she's here today. And I think I'm so inspired by Val always. That's why I have to invite to Awaz FM so that listeners can listen.
When I was just a teenager, my mother had a very late baby, and at that time I was studying to be a teacher, and I was studying psychology.
Oh gosh!
And so I came back home with all these ideas of how to bring up children. My parents had already brought up 3 children, but this 4th one was going to be perfect. So, but that was my sort of first interest in psychology.
Okay.
And then I drifted away into other things like photography and writing, but I wanted to get back to working with people in the classroom again, and I decided I wanted to work with adults. And so my psychology degree was an avenue to get me back into teaching.
So tell me about your little interest about your photography also.
Well, I was given a camera when I was a bridesmaid. Again, I was 21, round about that age, and that sparked my interest in photography. You know, life's full of things that just happen, and you don't know, sometimes you pick up on things and you leave them, but photography's always stayed with me, and gradually I built up a lot of good equipment and really began to photograph young children because I had a young daughter at that time.
Lovely.
And I actually wrote a book on successful child photography.
Is it?
So
See?
One thing I think people should always realise, that there's always something around the corner that you don't know is there. If you're willing to open your eyes to the possibilities. And you love doing it.
Yeah, and I understand you are a lifelong learner.
Yes.
Which is very, very inspiring. That was the reason why I was so inspired by you. And I think I feel a little bit like you, because I feel life is all about learning. In the minute you stop learning, it's not very refreshing, isn't it?
That's right. And where I teach now is in the Centre for Lifelong Learning in Strathclyde University.
Okay.
And there are about 3,000 people come from all over the Central Belt. Some people even travel from Edinburgh to our classes, and they're during the day. They're for anybody who wants to learn something new or pick up on an old subject. Some people maybe have learned a language at school and they want to practice it and get better and enjoy it. And our classes are not about exams
that's a good thing.
Not about testing people. It's about mixing with other people, or like-minded people who want to learn and meet new friends and do new things. So it's a very friendly, open place.
So you're learning a subject, but plus the most I think we learning we do as meeting people.
Yes,
I think, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the way I run my classes is to listen to other people there. Psychology, there's no one answer.
Exactly.
So,
we all are different.
Everybody has lived a different life and has different experience, and sharing that experience is so
makes us
valuable
and richer.
I think people learn more from the others who come to the class than from me. I'm the catalyst.
Tell me, I'm going to really talk about now what is happiness and what is well-being. People feel that money and richness will bring them happiness. Is that true?
Well, it's quite interesting because today the government YouGov poll came out about Scotland.
Yeah.
Today, in fact, I didn't plan that. Well, and they found that Scottish people are slightly happier compared to a poll they did, YouGov did last year. But the people in Fife have made a huge jump in their happiness. Now, I don't think they've become richer in Fife, but they've involved people more in their community. And that was the question they asked: how happy are you in your community? So I think happiness, money of course is important. You need a certain level of money, but having money on its own won't make you happy.
Yeah.
Being part of a community, feeling that you matter and other people matter to you, family and community are really the key pins, the main things.
I think that's the reason when we think about third world, when we go there, they don't have a lot, but people are always happy, smiling. And that is one little proof, isn't it?
Yes.
That money cannot buy happiness.
Yes. Although when they looked at people's income and their personal happiness, they found people with an income of over 60,000 were the happiest.
Is it? Because I think it's living in this first world is quite expensive to live.
Exactly.
I think that is the reason. That's a basic necessities. You need to have it.
So many people are, it's not their fault that they're unhappy. Their circumstances are very poor. And of course, that's why we have movements to change government and have more fairness and equality in the world. Because that will raise the happiness level. And that's why governments are in fact interested in happiness, because they'll be voted for if they make if policies that raise happiness.
So let us know what actions we can take and how we can be happy.
Well, one of my inspirational figures in the world is the Dalai Lama. He said, there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way, which is quite an interesting thought. Really, that you can't just find happiness by looking for it. You actually create it through the way you live your life.
Do you mind repeating that quotation of Dalai Lama Ji?
Yes.
Because it's amazing. Say it again, please, for our listeners.
There is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. And the way is to create in your life an attitude towards other people and also yourself. So many people feel they don't deserve to be happy. They're not good enough to be happy. So loving yourself and loving other people is a great way to happiness, and that happens through the way you live your life, the smile on your face, or the friendly nod to a neighbour, or the actions you take to help others.
Very true. What exactly does it mean, happiness, when we talk about happiness?
It's a feeling that comes from the brain scientists say it's part of your emotional centre in your brain. And of course, some people with a depressive illness are devoid of happiness. So happiness depends on having, a healthy diet, healthy exercise. That makes you happy. The endorphins in your brain. So there are physical things you can do to increase your feeling of well-being. It's well known that people who are out jogging or walking even in the park increase your levels of happiness go up because their brain is firing with all these neurochemicals that actually raise your mood. Speaking with a friend will raise your happiness level. So there are all sorts of things you can do that give you pleasure, and these will make you happy. But the way to make yourself happiest of all is to do something for other people. That's the quickest way to make yourself happy.
Charity, done. Yes.
Don't think about yourself and you being happy. Think about, what can I do that will make somebody else happy? Even if it's just a little thing.
And it's very strange when you do something, even little thing, and you feel good within yourself. I have noticed myself. I'm sure our listeners have noticed too. Whenever it can be as small as you said, a smile. You're just giving your smile away. And that makes such a big difference because you feel happy within yourself then.
Yes, and just walking down the street, try it. Just smile at somebody, you'll get a smile back.
Exactly.
It's amazing. People respond to a happy face.
Yeah, reciprocal.
We're almost
Yeah.
programmed as babies. You know how excited a parent gets when they get the first smile.
Yes.
It's a sign of connection. And as human beings, we want to connect with others.
Very true. Yes. So tell me, just a quick, before we go to our very short break, how to contact if somebody wants to learn.
You can type in Centre for Lifelong Learning,
Right.
Glasgow, University of Strathclyde, and you'll be taken straight to the centre's pages where there are lists of a brochure with all the classes, or you can phone them and they'll send you a daytime brochure, or you can come up to 40 George Street, level 7, and actually book a class. And there are hundreds of classes. And this
For
is
example?
Well, if you're interested in art, or if you're interested in poetry, or write, there are so many courses if you want to learn to write better. And then my courses are on memory shaping.
Oh gosh, we need to have that as we go over 50.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't lecture.
I can see that.
Yeah, I engage the people in a dialogue, and I show little wonderful clips that really engage people and make them interested and want to know more.
Oh. Hello, welcome back to Awaz FM. And we had a caller, and she said she's really enjoys the nature, Mother Nature. Her name is Usha. And thank you very much, first of all, Usha, calling us and telling us what makes you happy, which is, as she said, you don't have to even spend money. So nature makes you happy, which is quite wise. So the next question I would like to ask you all is, how do we know about happiness when psychologists are the people that study only unhappiness?
Well, that was the case about 15 years ago. Psychology was all about mental distress and illness.
That's true.
But then and a group of psychologists realised there were some people who seemed to flourish and do well in life. And it was really, nobody was looking at what they were doing that was making them so buoyant and able to cope with the difficulties of life so well. So a whole movement started, a science of positive psychology, looking at what made these people and begin really to analyse large groups of people and look at what made them happy. Was it children? Was it being married? Was it money? Was it the weather? They looked at all aspects, and they came away with certain 5 particular things that were seems to be a feature of people who coped well with life and seem to bounce back from the knocks and have a happier outlook in life. And one of the first things was positive feelings. Now, your caller who talked about nature.
Yes.
Positive feelings are out there. If you look, the park, the changing seasons, the summer sun, even the winter snow.
Yes.
There's beauty
refreshing
all around us. And being aware of that, even though there are horrible things going on in the world, being aware there is also goodness and good things, and to focus on these positive feelings, to appreciate the good people in your life, and all these things create these good feelings that are a feature of these very happy people. Another thing is that we've talked about is this feeling of engagement. What the Scottish Government looked at was this question about how do you feel in your community. So if you're involved in your community, like you are broadcasting, or I'm involved in
teaching.
In the teaching and in the community of Glasgow, the learning community, all these things raise your feeling of life's worth living. There's good things in it.
So go and get involved with your community. That's the first lesson from Val today, which is a wonderful lesson. Yes, do something which you are part of community. Anything.
Yes, it can be anything at all. It can be the wider community, or it can simply be in your street. You set up a local group that maybe does something, has a little street party, or get to know your neighbours a little bit better.
Yes.
All these things will build up little by little. Happiness doesn't arrive like a great big dollop of ice cream. It's just little things through the day, through your week, through the months, through the years, that build your feeling of well-being.
Yes, yeah. Why actually we all want to be happy?
I think it's part of our human condition to be happy. And unhappiness is sometimes good because it can motivate you. If you can sometimes feel, I'm not happy with my life, I could do more, I could be in a different place. And so sometimes unhappiness is the other side of the coin. But unhappiness makes us feel perhaps there's something we could do individually to make ourselves happier, or we could make our community happier. We could make this a better place to be. And so you get groups who transform their communities through coming together. And that's the other sort of happiness factor is positive relationships, building good relationships with the people that can help you. Nobody on their own can change the world, but together we can make a little difference.
Yes. But do you, as a psychologist, and you have been teaching people, and you know that, as you said, lots of time our circumstances make us very unhappy. And those people who have never ever seen happiness in their life, how they can go about it? How we can help them, and how they can be helped themselves?
It's interesting because some children in the early part of their lives grew up in terrible situations, and that is a very important time in life. So children's happiness is vital. It's terribly important that they don't grow up with a feeling that life isn't worth living and what's the point of getting out of bed. You know, you hear of young teenagers who are in a spiral of decline. It's very difficult once somebody's got into that sort of mindset to get them out of it. But they know now that the early education of children is so important, and the sooner there's intervention, the better. So loving your children, giving them a happy life, making them feel that they matter is the greatest gift you can give children. And so helping people who haven't had that wonderful start in life is so important. Not to say, well, but nothing can be done. Things can be done, but money needs to be put into schemes that will help people to discover that they can be happy.
And it's only a few years of their lives, which is very important, and that will reflect all over their lives, isn't it, of whatever age they are going to live. If they are not happy when they are young and not being looked after, and I think that will reflect in their lifetime, which is very important, as you said.
Yes, but it's amazing. Children in Romania who were often very badly neglected when the regime changed there, abandoned cots and great big nursing homes. It's amazing how once they were encompassed by loving family, they healed. You know, human beings
they bounce back.
Have a tremendous capacity to heal and change, and our brains change with our circumstances, but a baby can't grow without love. But introduce that sort of environment where it's positive and loving, then miracles can happen.
So good to hear. So it's never too late. Welcome back. What are the benefits of being happy?
We begin to think that life is really full of meaning. We have to create our meaning for our own life. Yeah. It isn't laid in a book, how we live our life. We can have guidance, of course, from many clever and thoughtful people like the Dalai Lama.
Yes.
But we have to find our own way in life. And if you are happier, happier people seem to find more opportunities. They find a meaning in their life.
Yeah.
Something that actually makes them want to get up in the morning.
Yes.
And one of the things that helps that is to give an affirmation. Say an affirmation in the morning when you're waking up. You can say, another great day.
That's a good one. It doesn't matter if Glasgow is raining. You can say, it's a great day. That gives you a big boost to get out of the bed.
Yes. Every day is a day of opportunity.
Exactly.
And the other thing you can do
I like that.
to increase your happiness is when you go to bed at night, you can think of 3 things that you're grateful for. Being grateful for things in your life, which we often take for granted,
Yes.
is a really good thing to do. And it can be little things. It doesn't need to be massive things, but grateful for 3 things. Like you cooked a lovely meal and it worked out well, or you met a friend that you hadn't seen, or you phoned somebody and you've made a date to meet them for lunch. It can be small things or big things, or it can be you've gone out to your garden and found you've got a great crop of potatoes. Whatever. But you...
Not moaning and complaining all the time about your family, your children, your husband, your partner, your job, isn't it? That will not take you any way to happiness.
No, it's the opposite. It would lead to the slough of despondency.
Yes.
Which is so that sort of meaning in life is very important. That makes you happier, and it also makes you want to do things. So it increases the possibility of you accomplishing things that you can do in your life, and it's different for different people. If you look at the Paralympics, it's absolutely fantastic what you see people that before were written off can do with their lives.
Exactly.
And it doesn't really matter what hand life throws at you. You can make something of it.
Exactly. And I think they are the role models for our society, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
We have little issues in life like cough, cold, or little temperature. We just go into hide and hibernate and say, oh, I'm ill, and don't do anything, isn't it, about it?
Yes. and you can let the weather influence you as well. And yet they say, you know what was one of the things they looked at when they were researching.
Which you have no control over.
No. And people get used to good weather. In very warm countries, people aren't happier because of the weather, because hot weather brings other problems too.
Yes, very true.
So every environment, you become acclimatized to it, and it ceases to be part of your happiness as such. Although in Scotland we do smile more on sunny days.
I think Scotland I feel myself, being not Scottish, a very warm people, especially Glaswegians.
Yes.
And that's why we decided to make our home over there. And that's why I think that lots of Asians are here, because they really feel at home here.
It's true, yeah. I think Glaswegians have a reputation for being friendly. You know, in a bus, you'll always have a conversation with someone.
Yes.
They used to say, we're all Jock Tamson's bairns.
How they're connected, well-being and happiness.
But well-being is sometimes the word is used as flourishing. That means that you are able to cope with the ups and downs of life. And happier people, happier children, happier older people. In fact, the evidence is that as we get older, we get happier.
That's true, because all our worries are gone. You have different worries.
Basically, life is diminishing. The amount of life we have ahead of us is less than we've lived. And so why be miserable with what you have left? Make the most of it.
Yes.
So I find our students tend to have a very positive outlook in life, and they blossom and flourish when they leave behind the responsibilities of their job. But you have to find that new meaning in life. And so it's a transitional phase from work to retirement, and nowadays many people phase that out in a way they weren't able to do before, so they work a little bit less and discover new possibilities. They don't sort of come to the end of a cliff and suddenly they're retired, and it's a very good way of retiring to gradually cut back your hours.
I like that new meaning to life. And I think that is a really food for thought, that I think one phase of your life is finishing and you're starting a new phase of life. And as we know, we are fitter and healthier when we are getting older nowadays. So we cannot sit at home.
Whatever you do, it's about giving meaning to life.
And I think that's very true. And the thing is, it has showed and research that learning and doing different activities actually keeps our Alzheimer and dementia away also, which is quite useful to know.
It's amazing the evidence coming through that the amount of learning you do in your life gives you a protection from brain disease. And remember, Alzheimer is a disease of the brain, and it seems to push back the boundaries of these diseases if you keep connecting those neurons in your brain. Use it or lose it.
Yes.
And that's no
because
doubt
it's
about
like
that.
any other thing. Like if you're not using, you'll even forget little things of life, how to do that, isn't it? And you lose confidence then.
Sometimes some things we want to lose, we don't need to do them anymore. But you have to replace it with some other new learning to keep your brain connecting and firing on all cylinders. At
this point, I would like to really say thank you very much, Val, for coming us and talking to our listeners so beautifully about health and well-being. What is health? And health makes you happiness, isn't it? So they all are linked with happiness and well-being, which was so nice to talk about it. Do you have anything else to say to our listeners before you go?
It's a pleasure talking to you, Manjalika. And I hope that your listeners have picked up a few tips, and I'm sure already by listening to your program they're feeling better.
Can you please tell us again your website?
It's the Centre for Lifelong Learning, University of Strathclyde, and put that into Google. That will take you to the website where there are the brochures and phone numbers, and the address is 40 George Street, just 5 minutes from Queen Street Station.
So you have it. You can take a train, you can go with a bus, you can walk, so it's not far. So, and just investigate, find out what you can learn next in life. That will definitely make you happy. And we say goodbye to our lovely guest, Val Bissland,